All right, welcome to the Royal Cheetah Project. It is Royal Cheetah Boy, and we are back for another episode. Welcome back. This is Comic Book Wednesday. Actually, I wasn't actually going to do a stream today, but some things got moved around, so I was able to jump on it. So this one's gonna be quick and easy. So let's get right into it. I got to do my bit here though. So you can reach me at worldcheetahboy.net. We're official now. Got business cards, got a website. So we're leveling up in some sort of way, some sort of fashion. So the level up is real. And this is a strange. This is gonna be a strange episode, a strange week in comic books, regardless. A lot of very interesting stuff came out this week. I wasn't able to get a hold of all of it, but I got 3 books here for you that I think we have a lot to talk about. So. Team Tenseiga all day, Team Tekkaden all day. I'm gonna start yelling Team Tekkaden for sure. Also, Team Reverse Blade, Team Tenseiga, all that good stuff. Fuck you, Sony Music Japan. How about that? And then, yeah, and we're just getting to it. Shout out to all at Kansas. Shout out to everybody for supporting so far. Carefree X, Pachuco Night, Music Anime Star Channel, and then what is my new homie's name? I gotta find that. I'm gonna find that before the end of the stream, so I can shout him out too. So, because I've had a lot of people, start popping up and showing love. So, the level up is real, and I really appreciate everybody who's been donating their time. Because I know, like again, I always say, I don't know how entertaining I am as a YouTuber, but I try to do the best I can. And anybody who's getting value out of this, I really appreciate you. So. We're getting to it. So let me get that shot out so I can get that out of the way so I don't forget. In the meantime, always check out the content on the podcast, iTunes, Stitcher. Always subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment about things. Hit me up on the website, Twitter, BrandonMTWayne@gmail.com. All that good stuff. And then let's see. Sorry. I gotta figure out who this is because I don't remember on top of my head. And that is the Overmon. So all these people I would look at their channels, the Overmon, Music Star Anime Channel, Pachuco Night, Carefree X. That's my YouTube squad. That's the YouTube Go Flex squad. So I really appreciate them for keeping me in the game because every day ain't been easy. And I'm putting out AMV every day, and we got about almost 70 episodes of the podcast up, and it's really hard when you're not really getting as much engagement as you thought you was going to get, or you start doubting yourself, man. Do I do suck? Is my shit really that good? Is it really that bad? So. But the people who have been consistently coming and consistently giving me support, I don't know if you know how much it means to me, but it's really kept me above water as far as my project's concerned. So. If this ever goes anywhere, man, hopefully I can do something for you guys that's very tangible. But again, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher as well, and then I'm adopting Barbatos as the official Gundam of the channel of the project from IBL. So speaking of Barbatos, I guess we're gonna get to that later. But dark week. It's a dark week in comic books, especially since we're talking about. Since I'm bringing it to the table, I'm throwing it back, so catching up. I read Jean Grey. So we got to bring some Marvel into this. I read Jean Grey number 7, number 8. I'm not really in love with those, so I'm not going to bring those to the fold right now. And then I've been catching up on things here ever so slightly. Superman, the Oz Effect, the new one came out this week. I think I'm dropping that. I think I'm done with that. But everything up until the one that came out this week, we talked about that in the last episode of the podcast. And then also, I'm going to bring Batman number 34 to the podcast on Push Forward Tuesday. So always, check the podcast on Tuesdays for some pretty dense content. But today, right now, we're going to jump into Spirits of Vengeance number 1. I don't know when the last time we seen Blade in a comic book. So that's what really drew me in. Shout out, Black superheroes, hashtag Black excellence, all that good stuff. And if it was anybody else, I would have left this book alone. But, who else would they would have brought in? All these characters are on definitely the fringe of any universe, but specifically the Marvel universe, and Blade being one of those. So it's a really interesting walk-in. This is probably one of my favorite covers of the year. Speaking of the year, I don't know when I'm going to do the comic book awards. I know I have to do it before my birthday, before the season ends on November 30th for the project, season 1. But man, so much good stuff keeps coming out that and I can't find what I did with my nominations list. That's the one thing that's really holding this up too. But I gotta find that so I can get a comic book awards episode pumped out here in the next couple weeks. Like seriously. But Spirits of the Vengeance #1 cover. Let's talk about the cover straight up. The cover is probably one of my favorite covers I've seen this year. I just really like this art style. I think it's I don't know how to say that name, Baldion. Really, really good. And so when we open up the book, I think you get kind of the same vibe. I think the #1 starts off kind of slow, honestly, in my opinion. You have the one big jump off in the beginning, but then it kind of hits the brakes a little bit because the story's got to catch up. But I'm in love with the art style, and I also in love with the cover. And man, I was so happy to see my homie Blade like in a comic book. Like that was just really just tickled me pink. That really just made my year, honestly. Maybe this would lead to Blade having his own jump off, his own shit. Who's to say? But the story in this book is very, very interesting. It's really dark, and it's only gonna get more and more dark, especially as we get to the #2 that we're about to talk about. And usually I don't like to bring that kind of stuff to the table. I think it's kind of in the same bag as, not the exact same, but the same bag as some of the older Spawns or the newer Spawns. We're in that territory. We're in that realm. We're in that part of the Marvel universe. So it's not going to be for everybody in it. And it's interesting that they're bringing Marvel's bringing some kind of metal element to the table too with this. I find the timing on that very interesting. But that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not here to spoil books. You got plenty of other reviewers that's gonna spoil books for you, but I'm not gonna do that. I would suggest reading this, and I just picked it up for Blade. But the cover is a 9 out of 10. The in-book art is 8 out of 10, and the story is 8 out of 10. And I'm gonna try to be objective as I can about this because we're getting into some spirituality or some overarching, like really macro kind of things, especially when we get to #2. Spirit of Vengeance #2. Sorry about the picture on this cover, but the cover is almost just as beast as the first one. You're not losing too much on that translation there if you haven't seen the cover yet. Spirit of the Vengeance 2. This cover is an 8 out of 10, and the story jumps up a few notches as far as its intensity and also it's the dark factor of it. It's I don't know if it's dark, if it gets as dark as any of the Spawns or some of the other comic books out there, some of the Vertigo stuff, some of the Dark Horse stuff, but it's pretty dark from Marvel, and it's really gonna be interesting to see how these characters play into each other, and to see how Blade fits into this. Blade's probably the most immortal out of all of them, I would say. So it's really to see how how he factors into the success of their current mission, which is pretty, again, overarching and pretty macro, if I do say so myself. And this book gets pretty dark, but I don't think the art style is very very dark in and of itself. So it kind of balances out. I really enjoyed the art in issue 2 way more than I enjoyed it in issue 1. So I'll give the art in issue 2 a 9 out of 10. I give the story as objective as I can, an 8 out of 10. So Marvel is not doing bad with Spirits of Vengeance, and we'll just see how far that's going. Spirits of Vengeance 2 was new this week, so that's fresh off the presses. So that's a fresh review for you. #1 is a couple weeks old, and I'm so far behind on comic books. I have a big stack at the comic book shop. Shout out to Prairie Dog Comics. Shout out to Mark Brown, the whole crew there in Wichita. And then I also have a big stack right behind me, behind this computer. So it's the struggle's real. That's a good problem to have, though, right? So the big dog I want to talk about, and probably one of the bigger dogs is going to be of the whole year, and that's what I was saying about how I just need to get a comic book episode done so I can so I can close that book, so I don't have to worry about any more comic books kind of coming in and fucking it up. But the longer I leave that window open, the more fucked up it's going to get. The more birds and bats get into it, as we're going to talk about, right? Windows, birds, and bats, right? Here we go. I wasn't going to talk about this book today. I was actually going to throw this book up to the podcast side on Tuesday. But this book is so unreal and so crazy and so forlorn that I had to bring this to you guys today. I had to do it. I really didn't want to because I was like, man, this book is so beastly and so emotionally, like, such good storytelling, and brings you into the book. It makes you feel the desperation and the forlorn hope of all this, that I really wanted to bring it to the podcast side, because I give the YouTube side a lot of comic book action, but man, I just had to do this. This book, Batman the Lost #1. I was really hard on the metal stuff walking in, and to a certain extent, I still kind of feel the same way as far as it being too overarching and too macro, and stretching the characters too far. But I guess that's the charm of it. Here we are, and I think that's the thing that really makes it work. And even though I still kind of have my trepidations about that's going that path with these characters, namely Bruce, still Scott Snyder is making this work, and all the artists that are with him are making this work. This, if this is Scott Snyder's indeed last shebang with Batman for however long, he's leaving us with a lot to think about. Scott Snyder's a legend, and everybody that works with him as well. Greg Capullo, Danny Mickey, all the artists on this particular book, all the artists in the Forge. This has just been working. It's just been working, and it's been working really, really well. And even though my hate came off of it pretty strong in the beginning, and again, I still feel that way to a certain extent, I have to give up props when props is due. And that's one of the things we say on this project, man. When it's hot, it's hot. You got to give it up. If it's there, it's there. And I got to give it up to this. I got to give it up to the Forge. I got to give it up to everything after Metal 1. And I haven't even read all the Batman the Dark Metal tie-ins. I haven't even read the Dark Metal, the mainstay one, #3 yet. I haven't got to that yet. But this is making me excited to read that one. And also, man, let's talk about this book. Let's talk about this book. This is probably one of the most unreal, surreal, sublime, if you can use that word in this instance, forlorn Batman stories I've ever read. It's been such a great time in Batman history. I've been saying that every week, and I fucking mean it. It's been unreal, and this is another step in that direction. And once Scott Snyder decides to leave Batman alone, who's to know what's gonna happen with that? But King doing his thing, but we're not here to talk about that. Man, the writing in this does a really, really good job of bringing you into the fold. Like I felt like I was in the book. I couldn't put it down. I don't say that often. Like I felt like I could feel Bruce's struggle and his desperation and his willingness to hold on to whatever bit of himself that is left in all this. Because what this character is saying, Barbatos, as we spoke about earlier with IBO, Barbatos being the what did I say? The poster Gundam for this project. Fuck Barbatos in the context of this book though, because he's really fucking with Bruce 10 times as much more than the Owls did way back in Scott Snyder's original run. This is bad. This is bad. This is so bad it's good, because bad in the sense that it's really, really entertaining, and it's really, really dense, and it's taking you to such a dark place between Barbatos and Batman that it's kind of unbearable. But then again, you can't put the book down at the same time. It's really hard seeing Bruce in this situation, and Barbatos saying the things that he says to him at the end, and Barbatos reiterating the things that he said to him before in previous medals. That Batman, you ain't shit. Like, you just my little toy. Like, all your will, all your achievements, everything that you are is because I wanted you to be that. That's some fucked up shit, especially for Bruce as we know him, right? It's this book is unreal. The art is fantastic, and we just get into some crazy psyche about what's always going on here, and how is Bruce going to snap out of this one? How are the other superheroes faring? I don't know. I haven't read Metal 3 yet, so maybe I'll get more inference on that when I get to Metal 3. But man, it just seems like this is it. It seems like the universe, the DC universe is going to crash at this point, and this is pretty dark. It's been like between Spirits 1, Spirits 2, and this this is a dark week, and I and I kind of fell into that. So um, I really hope to see Bruce come back and make it out of this, but at the instance, it seems like it's gonna be the end of the DC universe, like honestly, and that's the first time I've ever felt this way. Read any DC book, like man, this is it. There's no coming back from this. This is they're too deep in. This is too big of a villain for them to take. Ain't enough batarangs, ain't enough eye powers. Zeus ain't coming to save. This is it. So it's kind of, this is a really good read. It's a really, really good read. Man, cover 10 out of 10. Art 10 out of 10. One of my favorite artists in it is Jimenez. But everybody does their thing, man. It's unreal. It's story 10 out of 10. So we have another 10 out of 10 book, and it's Batman. How about that, right? So so how many? I would have to do a award ceremony in general, then I have to do a Batman award ceremony. I'm not going to do it, but it's almost like I have to do that shit because every Batman book pretty much has been a banger. I can give you a little bit on 34 right now. 34 is a banger. It's not as banger as much as Batman 34 with King. It's not as much as a banger as this is. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it's a banger. It's got some good qualities about it. We're going to talk about that on the podcast on Tuesday. But, man, this book will fuck your head up. And I think Metal is just in the fold anyway, just to fuck your head up. Like, seriously, the whole Metal arc in general. Between last week with Doomsday Batman and the Flash Batman, which I haven't read yet, and the Aquaman Batman, which I read, which was deep. The Green Lantern Batman, which is fucked up. It's just, this is bad. this is a bad situation. I don't know if there's enough superpowers or enough, will to ever get out of the situation, but we'll see. We'll see. There's no money in Batman being dead or the DC universe being dead, so they'll figure it out. But at this instance, in the context of the story, real life aside, this seems as close to hopeless as I've ever seen in a comic book in my life, and that's very, very good writing, very, very good pacing on the art, and man, crazy. So the award, tune in for the award ceremony. Whenever I get that up, it's gonna be a pop-up live stream, and I'll try to blast it as much as I can to give some people some warning. But that could get interesting. But let's see here. Goku 6.7 or 5 is out. We're stopping Goku at 7, so it's basically what I'm saying is really, really close, and also it's really, really close to that season 1 ending on the project. So I am going to put up a kind of like a macro AMV of some of the animes I think is the greatest animes of all time, but then also signifying what you have looked forward to in season 2 of the project as far as animes that I want to bring into the fold that we haven't necessarily talked about yet, or that aren't finished running on the project, that are going to kind of take a hiatus with us on season 1, but start back up into their conclusion on season 2. So everything's going to pause. So hopefully you're doing well out there. Hopefully you can pick up these books. Man, if you don't pick up anything, Spirits of Vengeance, I don't think you're gonna win or lose with that. I think it's a good pickup, but I think you're gonna completely lose if you don't pick up this Batman book for your collection. If you're big into Batman like I am, or if you're collecting books, if you don't have this particular Batman and some of the Batmans we talked about in your bag, then your collection ain't shit. Like, and I promise you, it's gonna be that way going forward in the next year or so. You can ask anybody about the Batman 52 series. You can't find any of those anywhere. Not without paying that premium price. So, anyways, I said I wanted this to be a short one, so we're coming up in 20 minutes. So, not necessarily super duper short, but oh well. Here we are. So I think I'm gonna get out of here. Rosary Life all day. Today is the Glorious Mystery. So how about that? Also, if anybody wants to get down with the project, is not really familiar with what's going on. This is your first time you bumping into this. The World Cheetah Project.net. Is a good start to the links for everything, but the links to the Twitter, the links to the podcast, all the stuff's on this episode on the channel. And then also shout out to the one person that's watching right now. I really appreciate you, and it seems like you hung in through the whole thing, so I really, really appreciate you. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't. Just let me know who you are, so I can big you up and show you some love, some more more specialized, personalized love. Just you being the number one on the right corner is not enough for me right now. So let me know who you are at some point or another. Other than that, man, it's the World Cheetah Project. We're getting close to the November season break. I turned 30 in November, 30 November 30. So just trying to see how far I can push with things. And let me say this too: sin is designed to cut you off. Sin is designed for you to get yourself to cut yourself off. Actually, that's what I really more wanted to say. So don't let sin do that. We have so many things that we could turn to keep ourselves in grace, because sin can't defeat grace, and definitely sin can't defeat mercy. Jesus has an infinite pool of mercy and an infinite pool of grace, but probably even more so mercy. So I would not allow I wouldn't cut yourself off from grace just because you felt like you made a mistake, or you made if you fell back to some kind of vice, which I'm guilty of to this day as we speak. Or if you feel like you got a bad attitude, or you done something that you feel like wasn't merciful, wasn't kind, don't beat yourself up, and don't cut yourself off from grace. Don't hide from Jesus. Don't hide from Mary. Go to them right away and tell them that you're a dirtbag to a small extent. Tell them you're a broken individual, and that you need help, and that you're not trying to get cut off from grace. So how about that? So anyways, it's the Road Cheetah Project. We'll see you next time. Shout out to all of Kansas. Shout out to wherever you're from. Let me know where you're from, where you're tuning in at, what you got going on in your life, what your projects are, how you migrating through this crazy world, how you migrating through mercy and sin and grace. Because it's a struggle. It's a fight every day. It's a a battle every day, and some days are easier than others. Trust me, I know. So always, let me know what projects you're working on. Let me know what you're pushing forward towards, what you're trying to get off the ground. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, or what you're currently labbing in the basement, to put out into the world, so we can get you some shine. Whenever you're ready, just hit me up. Let me know so we can get you some shine on your shit. So Twitter, the website again, email, comment here, comment there, subscribe here, subscribe there, podcast, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. The Road Cheetah Boy, the Road Cheetah Project. Thank you so much.